Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Carlos Sandoval UCSC. Today, I will be presenting an in-depth analysis of two distinct texts as part of my assignment. The first text is a famous poem, The Raven, by Edgar Allan Poe, a staple in American literature known for its melancholic and haunting themes. The second text is an informative article from National Geographic, which explores the efforts to revitalize the Maori language through the language nest model. Let's delve into these texts and uncover their complexities. The Raven, Genre and Function. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe is a narrative poem that employs a lyrical structure to tell a haunting story. This poem serves to evoke profound emotions of grief, loss, and the persistent haunting of memories. Poe's use of a first-person narrative allows readers to deeply connect with the narrator's sorrow and despair. The poem's function is not just to tell a story, but to immerse the reader in the dark and melancholic atmosphere that permeates the narrator's world. The Raven, Scaffolding. The scaffolding of The Raven is meticulously crafted to build suspense and emotional depth. The poem begins with an introduction where the narrator is alone at midnight, seeking solace from his sorrow over the loss of Lenore through reading. This sets a somber and reflective tone. As we move into the development phase, the arrival of the Raven introduces an element of the supernatural. The narrator's initial curiosity turns into a series of questions that reveal his inner turmoil and longing. Each interaction with the Raven intensifies his emotional state, escalating the tension. The climax is reached when the narrator's questions become increasingly frantic, and the Raven's repetitive answer, "nevermore," drives him into a state of despair. This repetition underscores the inevitability and permanence of his grief. In the resolution, the narrator is resigned to his fate, realizing he will never escape the haunting presence of the Raven or the sorrow over his lost Lenore. This conclusion leaves readers with a lingering sense of melancholy and hopelessness, mirroring the narrator's own feelings. The Raven, Grammatical Features. Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven employs a variety of grammatical features that enhance its lyrical quality and emotional impact. The poem is primarily written in the past tense, which creates a reflective and somewhat distant tone, as if the narrator is recounting a haunting experience. The use of active voice throughout the poem helps to draw readers directly into the events and emotions experienced by the narrator. This immediacy is crucial for building a connection between the reader and the narrator's psychological state. Poe also makes extensive use of complex sentences with frequent enjambment, that is, the continuation of a sentence or phrase from one line of poetry to the next. This technique allows thoughts and emotions to flow seamlessly from one line to the next, creating a sense of continuity and escalating tension. For instance, in the line, "on the silken satin certain rustling of each purple curtain," enchantment enhances the eerie and unsettling atmosphere. Additionally, Poe's choice of descriptive adjectives and vivid imagery contributes to the poem's haunting mood. Words like silken, sad, and uncertain not only describe the physical surroundings but also reflects the narrator's inner turmoil. The Raven, Recurrence Rules. Recurring elements in The Raven play a significant role in reinforcing the poem's themes and emotional impact. One of the most notable recurrences is the word "nevermore," spoken by the Raven in response to the narrator's questions. This word symbolizes the finality and hopelessness of the narrator's situation, as it continually reminds him that he will never be free from his sorrow. The name Lenore is another recurring element, emphasizing the narrator's deep and persistent fixation on his lost love. Each mention of Lenore brings the reader back to the core of the narrator's grief. Reference to the door throughout the poem serve as a metaphorical boundary between the realms of the living and the dead, as well as between reality and the supernatural. The door represents the narrator's futile hope for an escape from his despair. Lastly, the repeated mention of the raven itself underscored its role as a harbinger of doom. The raven's presence and its single, unchanging message deepened the sense of inability and reinforced the poem's dark atmosphere. The Raven progression patterns. The progression pattern in the Raven is linear, with each stanza building upon the previous one to escalate tension and emotional intensity. This linear progression mirrors the narrator's psychological descent as he moves from curiosity to desperation. Initially, the narrator is curious about the Raven and its strange visit. However, as the poem progresses, his questions become more personal and frantic, revealing his deepening despair. The Raven's consistent response, nevermore, drives the narrator to confront the reality of his loss and the permanence of his sorrow. This steady build-up of tension is effective in maintaining reader engagement and creating a sense of inevitability. The progression from a seemingly ordinary evening to a nightmarish realization highlights the poem's thematic exploration of grief and hopelessness. Poe employs several connectivity rules to ensure coherence and enhance the rhythmic quality of the Raven. The use of conjunctions such as and, but, and then helps link thoughts and actions, providing a smooth flow from one idea to the next. Repeated phrases like quote to Raven, nevermore, act as refrains, which not only reinforce the poem's central themes but also create a musical quality that contributes to its haunting atmosphere. These refrains serve as anchors for the reader, grounding the narrative in the recurring theme of inevitable loss. Additionally, the poem's consistent meter and rhyme scheme contribute to its cohesive structure. The trochaic octameter and the ABCDDD rhyme scheme create a hypnotic rhythm that draws readers into the narrator's psychological state and maintains the poem's overall unity. Now let's examine an informative article from National Geographic titled How an Indigenous Language Nest Revitalized Maori. This article explores the successful efforts to revitalize the Maori language through the language nest model. Genre and function. The article is an informative piece designed to educate readers about the cultural and linguistic revival of the Maori language. Its primary function is to inform and inspire by showcasing the success of the language nest model and encouraging similar efforts in other indigenous communities. Now comes the scaffolding part. Well, the article begins with the background of Kanien'keha efforts and influence from Maori language advocate Sir Timothy Karetu. It details the historical suppression of the Maori language, the creation and expansion of the Gonhaga Rio model, and the impact on other indigenous communities. The article reflects on the cultural significance and future of language revitalization efforts. The narrative structure helps convey the chronological development and impact of these efforts. So in this part we have the introduction, which provides background of the Kanien'keha efforts and Sir Timothy Karetu's influence. The development details historical suppression of the Maori language and the creation of the Gonhaga Rio model, a grassroots initiative when parents and toddlers immerse themselves in the Rio Maori. Impact discusses the broader influence of the language nest model beyond New Zealand, inspiring other indigenous communities like Native Hawaiians. And the conclusion reflects on the cultural significance and future of language revitalization, emphasizing community involvement and support. Grammatical features. The article uses a mix of present and past tenses to describe ongoing efforts and historical events, engaging readers with active voice. Complex sentences incorporate descriptive narratives and direct quotes, adding depth and authenticity. For example, Kanien'keha The Mohawk language is one of the more many endangered indigenous languages, highlights current state while setting the stage for the narrative. In the grammatical features, we have the tense. The article uses both in present and past tense to describe ongoing efforts and historical events. We have the voice, predominantly active voice to engage readers and convey a sense of immediacy. Sentence structures, complex sentences. For example, we have, for instance, Keningeha, the Mohawk language, as is one of the world's many endangered indigenous languages. Uses present tense to highlight the current state of the languages. Recurrence rules. Repeated references to language nest emphasize the central theme of language revitalization. The term Kohanga Rio is frequently mentioned, underscoring its importance as a model. Mentions of the Maori language highlight the article's focus on cultural preservation. The word community recurs to emphasize the collective effort involved. Each mention of language nest reinforces the concept's significance and the article's central message. Progression patterns. The article follows a chronological progression detailing the journey from historical suppression to present-day revitalization. This clear narrative helps readers understand the transformative success of the language nest model, from local beginnings to global influence, illustrating the importance of grassroots initiatives. Connectivity rules. They are no different from Allan Poe's The Raven poem. The article uses conjunctions like and, but, and however to link ideas smoothly. Direct quotes from key figures add authenticity and depth. Subheadings and sections organize content, guiding readers through different aspects of the revitalization efforts. As a conclusion, the National Geographic article provides an insightful look into the successful revitalization of the Maori language. Understanding these efforts highlights the importance of cultural preservation and the power of community-driven initiatives. Thank you for watching this analysis.